Alright, what's up guys? Gamefire10 back with you today. And excuse me. I just took a dab, so if I seem a little spacey throughout this review, please forgive me. We try to stay on track as much as possible. I just that's just how I do things. I gotta relax a little bit before I dig into my thoughts about a movie. Um, so yeah, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 now. The first time I watched this movie, it was one of those movies I shut off just halfway through. I was just so pissed at what they had done and how the movie was playing out, and I just couldn't. It just wasn't my thing. In particular, Laurie's and Loomis's characters pissed me off really bad in this movie. We'll get into that. Now, obviously, the movie starts off where the Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007 remake leaves off. Laurie Strode just shot Michael Myers in the face, and she's taken to Haddonfield Hospital. Um, and we see Michael Myers put onto a stretcher and loaded into the ambulance. And I think it takes I believe they said 6 guys to lift him. It just really demonstrates how fucking massive and excuse me, how much Michael weighs in Rob Zombie's Halloween. I mean, he's fucking he's huge. He's almost 7 feet tall. I think Tyler Maine's what, I want to say 6'9", but I might be wrong. It might be 6'7", but somewhere around there. Either way, that's fucking massive. Um, and some people don't like that. I do say you have to remember too, in the 1978 original, even going back to the first time we ever saw Michael Myers, he was always kind of on the taller side. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Nick Castle was about 6 feet, maybe 6'2", somewhere in there. I could be wrong, but I believe it's at least 6 feet. So Michael Myers has always been a little bit, taller, kind of had this imposing sense over most other characters in the movies. Um, but in Rob Zombie's Halloween, both his Halloween movies, is played by Tyler Mane both times. Obviously, he's just way bigger than anything we've seen. Probably even bigger than, I might even go out on a limb and say that Jason ever got. Although I'd have to see some of those ones where they just went fucking crazy with Jason again to really determine that. Um, However, though, yeah. So we get the opening scene, um, and of course Michael is being transported uh, to presumably the morgue uh, by some white trash ambulance drivers who are discussing necrophilia because it's a Rob Zombie movie, so of course that had to make it in there. And I'm pretty sure that most other reviews I've ever seen on this movie, it makes it into those reviews because it stands out as, yeah, that is a Rob Zombie moment. It's the kind of white trash you get from Rob Zombie. Needless to be in there, but it's there. Um, but of course, they crash into a cow who was just standing in the middle of the road, strangely. And of course, that ejects Michael from the vehicle, and he's revived from this, I suppose. Now the driver's dead, and he goes and slits the throat of his partner there. And then we get this maybe 10-15 minute sequence at the hospital, which is very reminiscent, sort of an homage to the original Halloween 2, where Michael's just going after Laurie. He just brutalizes this nurse, he just viciously attacks her. I mean, to everyone in this film, Michael attacks everybody in this film viciously. I mean, I know he's, a vicious killer in the first place, but he is fucking brutal in Rob Zombie's Halloween too. He doesn't hold back, and he grunts a lot too. He really gets into it, and I mean, he did grunt even a little bit in the original film, but the original 1978, of course, but not to the extent of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. No, definitely not. And in this film, we get a lot more of an exposed Michael Myers. For the first first half of this movie, really, he walks around without his mask a lot, and he's just kind of like a drifter, hobo type, essentially. He's got this just, long, gnarly ass hair like he did in the first one, just this massive fucking beard, just a hobo, somebody who's, just unkempt and drifting from place to place. And that's another one of the more contentious aspects when it comes to this film. But personally, I've never been against it. I don't think that should necessarily be every iteration of Michael Myers, but I like that we got that, like, hey, what does Michael do in his off time? And to be honest, I've said it before that, sort of my favorite, I guess, the way I would portray it is, yeah, long hair, fucking massive beard. He's not somebody who's going to be stopping, for a haircut or to shave or anything like that. He'd kind of be like this wild, feral type dude. I guess that's just how I kind of like to portray these, kind of like almost a Jason Voorhees. Not, I mean, not, no, not the same thing, obviously, but where Jason's like kind of a feral human, like, once Michael's been out and about for a while, like, he just roams around. That's essentially what he is, too. Not wandering around camps, not doing Jason Voorhees type stuff, but, just kind of a feral human. Michael's, I mean, he's fucking nuts. That's kind of what it is. Um, and yeah, so I kind of like that, just like wild, like, I think wild, like a wild man, like a jungle man stereotype, that sort of thing. Just fucking completely unkempt, long hair, massive beard. And that's the way I'd go with shit. Because that's, realistically what Michael Myers would be. If this were real life, if he were a real dude. Um, I've said before, like in the 1978 original, we see him unmasked and he doesn't have a beard and he has short hair. And that's, I don't know. He's again, he just got out of Smith's Grove in that film, so I think maybe they, must groom their patients there or something. They must, take care of their haircuts and shit for them. But I don't know. I'm just a super nerd, so I get into like the nitty gritty and like, oh, what does the mask look like in this one scene, and oh, what does he look like unmasked? Like that's just like, no, I get into this shit. Like I'm really nerdy about these type of films. I can tell you that. But yeah, so when we're introduced to Laurie's character, apart from the first part of the film, we see that she's very traumatized by the events of it, and she just she exhibits that. She's kind of a dick to everybody around. She's just outspoken, yelling all the time. She's very loud, just like hates everybody, wants to tell everybody to fuck off. Especially Annie. Like their relationship is a lot worse in this film. It's understandable. Again, like some of the people that like me, I like this film. Don't get me wrong. That like this film, they kind of like that aspect of it. The trauma aspect and stuff. And yeah, I like that's in there. I personally just would have dialed it back just a little bit, not made it so Rob Zombie where they're just like in your face, like being a douchebag. I get there's so many different reactions, ways that people can go and reacting to trauma, but I just would have dialed that Rob Zombie dial back a little bit, not made it so like gone over the top with it, so that it felt almost strangely out of character. I guess would be the way to put it. And Dr. Loomis in this film, like I said before, he's a greedy asshole. He's basically exists in this movie to will show up in scenes profiting off of the tragedy in the previous film, how many murders were racked up, and of course he's his doctor and he can write a book about it, and blah blah blah. But yeah, he's just a douchebag. He treats his assistant in the film like a douchebag. I mean, at one point he says, oh, if I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you. Like, come on, man. Like, we know that Malcolm McDowell has played, like, kind of, well, obviously villain characters in the past. He was fucking Alex in Clockwork Orange, one of the most evil characters in cinema ever. But, no, come on. That's not like a Dr. Loomis route. And, like, the one thing I'll give Rob Zombie's Halloween too is when you're gonna do your own thing, like, that's cool. Like, you should, if you want to take like old characters, old stories, and you want to put a new spin on things, you want to take these characters to new places and try different stuff, I'm all for that. But just like anything else, just like going back to the original Halloween, just as much as it's, a tremendous success and I love it and so many other people love it, it just could have easily gone the other way and been a shit show and nobody liked it. But so that's all I say when it comes to bringing new ideas and new spins to the table is either, I'm gonna like it, and maybe other people are gonna like it, maybe they're not, maybe I'm gonna like it and others aren't. uh, Maybe I'm just gonna fall into a kind of a niche group of people, I guess, that supports a movie. I almost feel like that's kind of how it goes for this one. Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, unfortunately. Because there are those aspects that I would just, if I were doing like my own fan edit of this film, I would just cut out, like just some of the over the top scenes with Laurie and most of Loomis's scenes. I don't think he'd end up in the movie much if I were cutting some of that stuff out, to be quite honest. Um, but yeah, overall, what I like about this film is that Rob Zombie dares to give us a different idea of Michael Myers. Um, in this in this one, Michael's having these visions of his mother, because of course Rob Zombie has to bring Sherry Moon, his wife, into every single movie that he does. So he found a way to shoehorn her in there, and it. I almost we were talking about Jason earlier. I don't think there should be too many similarities between Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. They're individual, horror movie killers, and we like them for different reasons. That being said, you're trying a new angle on Michael Myers. I don't mind kind of, especially sort of, I guess, the connections, and kind of the closer relationship he had with his mom in the original Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween. To me, I guess I just I think it sounds good on paper, and you could make that work good, but man, it just the scenes come across like Sherry Moon, just does her typical. She didn't deliver much of a performance in the first one, and it's just kind of a phoned in performance here too. At least that's how it seems to me. It's just not very. Yeah, it's just not very all there, and she just kind of. She feels like she's just very much there for the sake of being in the movie, being on screen, and it's just annoying. Like I think you could that route like that, like Michael having these hallucinations of his mother, like that kind of plays into like the like just strong, like he's just like a fucking like psycho um killer mentality that Rob Zombie brought to Michael Myers in this one. I think that plays in well, but the way they did it and executed it is just completely bad. It doesn't really work all that good for me. I think the idea could work if it was executed better and maybe better acted, and better shot. Maybe it wasn't so bizarre. I mean, there's some cool imagery in there. Don't get me wrong. Like there's kind of this I think like Myers mask on a scarecrow type thing that's kind of neat. Um, I guess that brings me to as well the cinematography in this film is excellent. Like we just get sometimes these really wide shots, these nice shots of Michael, just roaming the fields. I love that shot when the guy's driving the truck out in the field. He's going walking through their crops, and they're going out there to fuck with him and whatnot, and they're beating him down, and they get back in their or they're trying to get back in their truck, and so he gets up off the ground, and again, okay, controversial. Michael Myers getting his ass beaten, but he certainly pays them back tenfold. Um, we just get this really nice shot of him just like throwing the mask on and just kind of seeing him in the field there against the backdrop. It feels very October. It feels very Halloweeny. It's a really cool shot, and it's something a little bit different too, I guess, for a Halloween movie as well, obviously. But yeah, I love it. We finally we got to see a little bit of the Rabbit in Red in Rob Zombie's first Halloween movie, which of course dates all the way back to the original Halloween. You'll notice it on a set of matches. It's in the car that Loomis drives. I believe whatever. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Chambers, I believe, Nurse Chambers. They belong to her. But yeah, we finally get to see more of that in this film. Of course, there's got a sleazy Ron Jeremy-esque manager, who's is having sex with all the strippers. There's a lot of nudity in this part of the movie, of course. And what I like about these scenes is his assistant is pretty funny. Forgive me for not knowing his actor's name, but his assistant is decently funny. He goes outside, and he kind of backtalks to Michael a little bit, and then of course, Michael stomps him and stomps his face into the ground. And then he goes inside and quickly dispatches of the stripper and strip club manager. Just absolutely savage, just total gore fest. Um, and then of course, spoiler alert for the ending. Although I brought up multiple arguably spoilers already. Um, but yeah, and then of course for the end, I actually do kind of like, for the most part, I like the ending to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and the unrated cut too. I'm fine with Michael saying "die" to Dr. Loomis in the film. Um, it, yeah, it's whatever. Like, Rob Zombie gave us a more exposed, like, kind of out there um, version of Michael Myers this go around, and so I'm cool with that. That works fine, I guess. You could not have it in there, and I'd be just as fine with it, I suppose. Honestly, like, I know that is controversial, Michael Myers talking, um, but I guess to me it just always kind of fit Rob Zombie's vision, I guess. But what I just love about the ending is how it's just so, like, batshit insane, and I mean so much like the rest of the movie too. Like, whenever there's killing and action going on in this movie, it's just like fucking 12 on the intensity scale. Like, it's fucking 2 points above 10. It's nuts. Um, And yeah, so basically, Dr. Loomis has a change of heart, of course, at the last minute. It sucks that he's just a douchebag for most of the film, so out of character for what Dr. Loomis should be. And again, like I said, I'm gonna say things that you do different that you know I don't like it. I don't think it fits for whatever reason. And so be it. And that's what he did with Loomis's character. I didn't like it. Um, but at least he comes around and runs up to the scene, goes into the shack, kind of tries to talk Michael down a little bit, and Laurie, um, and that leads to Michael fighting with Loomis, and they break out into the he crushes Loomis, he kills Loomis essentially. Then they break out through the shed into the open field where the police uh, shoot Michael Myers dead. He's fucking, I mean, at least assumed to be, Michael Myers, but they never followed this up. He's just, like, completely riddled with bullets. Like, it's almost reminiscent of Halloween 4. Just, like, the way he's almost just, like, doing, like, the, oh, I'm being shot dance. Fucking just, like, really funny shit. Well, not, like, I don't know, mixed, like, there's some seriousness to that scene, obviously, but it's just kind of funny how it harkens to that a little bit. But yeah, all in all, of course, after that, Laurie comes out. She takes Michael's mask from inside the shack and his knife, and then she comes out and she's looking like, I'm gonna kill somebody, or whatever they think she's doing. I don't know. Like, they've got guns, she's got a knife, but for whatever reason, somebody, even though Sheriff Brackett, of course, said, hold your fire. Uh, One of the cops, fired off a round anyway, and it killed her. And then, and then at the end of it, we get what's presumably a dream sequence or something like that with Sherry Moon Zombie and the White Horse again. We see Laurie Strode sitting in what kind of looks like a white room in an asylum. Yeah, just weird. I would have personally cut that little part off the ending, but I love everything leading up to it. It's just so intense, and Michael really gets fucking taken out. And yeah, overall, the whole movie is just really, really graphic, really intense. It's a different spin on things. There's shit that annoys me when I watch in this movie, but it's one of those movies that I've just kind of learned that the more I can kind of try and mute out those things I don't like, and there's those things in there that I really, really enjoy, and it's worth watching the movie for those, in my opinion. But yeah, I give it, in terms of being a horror film, it's probably 3.5 out of 5 for me. It's not bad. Not my favorite Halloween by any stretch. My favorite is easily the 1978 original, followed up by the original Halloween 2. But this is one of the better ones in my opinion. Probably my number 4 or 5, somewhere around there. But yeah, all right. Well, thank you guys. It's been Gamefire 10, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.